All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Tanisha Brillar Moorhill. Welcome to Where Our Travelers Simply Glow. I am Tanisha Brillar Moore. I will be leading you on today through this particular exercise, if you will. So we're going to get into basically how it is that we can kind of sort of put certain thoughts in motion by slowing down to speed up. So sometimes, you really have to lean into the process of learning things from scratch. And you don't do those things by rushing through your process and the things that you are doing in order to learn and improve your life. That's just not what it's going to be. So when you really are in the throes and the thick of things, you have to really understand that in the long run, it makes more sense. It's just as simple as that. I wanted to move up so bad in retail for the longest of times. I saw my other peers and my other classmates, and they were all just running their stores, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, so it took me a really long time, but at the same time, I'm very different from most of my classmates. You know what I mean? Like, some of my other classmates, they had kids really young. They married even younger than what I wanted to do. Still, I'm still not married, but I love my baby father deeply. So then I had to consider why our paths are always so. But that's, of course, when I go down the comparison, he was like, oh my God, even my other classmate as well is already married, about 3 kids in. I still have my one baby. You know what I mean? And it's really expensive. And I have to go at a space and when I say space, I mean I have to be at a certain pace in order to even arrive at the places and spaces that I find myself in. That's just how it goes. And some of them I've never ventured back into at all, period. And you have to think about why that is, because eventually in the long run, it serves a greater purpose to stay out of those places than in. And that's just what being a leader is about. And it's not for everybody. It is difficult to wait to find your person. And truth be told, I've known my person even longer than most of my classmates and their other people, personally speaking. But it just took us some time. I had to grow up and mature. People just assume that men are always just the most to fear marriage. But ladies, I'm here to tell you, we fear marriage too. I have not, like, it's such a legal binding contract. And I'm a church girl. And y'all know for a fact, if you don't go on no other channel, I'm going to speak about church, because I've been doing church for some time now, since about 2015. And we're going on 2026. So this ain't been no year or two. This has been close to over a decade now. So I'm totally like, yeah, in the long run, let's just slow it down so we can make as less mistakes as possible, but still have fun with it and still be able to practice and help as many lives as possible, but without the pressure of feeling as though I'm moving too slow. So I got to speed up and go quicker, where I'm going to continuously, I'm just going to say it, make as many mistakes as possible to self-sabotage myself, and therefore I'm not really helping anyone, and let alone myself. And again, that's not what is appropriate as a young lady. You really want to be able to say, oh, him dodged the bullet. You didn't. You see how he treats you. You chose to have stay. I didn't. I didn't want to be around nobody like that, so I left. Or you can see and understand that sometimes these women make mistakes and they don't feel as happy as they have. And now they don't understand why they feel so miserable. But you got to understand, maybe you didn't go as slowly as you needed to. Maybe your space that you chose to enter into was something that you needed to have stayed out of, but you didn't. So now you feel as though you're sabotaged because your pace, you went too quickly. You turned left when you were supposed to have gone right. You know what I mean? And now you got a ditch in a hole in your tire, and it's going to take them 15, 25, 45 minutes plus, when it was like a 2-minute job just to go down to the corner of the street to the other end. So now all of a sudden you didn't put yourself in an impossible space and position to really get to your dreams when you hear an way over there. And so, you want to try your best to avoid feeling that way. As we wrap up the holiday season and we get ready to step into the new year and welcome in winter and really have those moments there, and we kind of sort of are not trying to really hear all of that, but at the same time, in talking who he is, though, because now all of a sudden you got to realize that, wow, yeah, slowing down is necessarily where it's at, so that I can really boss up and scale the way that I wish to in the long run. So that means that I have to consider the other factors that are going on and taking place instead of overlooking them. Okay, you said this out of pocket, out of line. So if I put you on the front line and when somebody does step up, you're going to act the same way. So now I know you done did that, and that improved to myself as the young lady who's selling that I know you're not going to fit right here because you didn't even do it there. When if I put you here, you're going to do the same thing. It's just at a grander scale now. And ultimately, that's going to fall back on not the person that's sitting there, but you guessed it, the person that's scaling. Because the enemy is always going to make sure they attack most when they feel as though you're rising the quickest. And as quickly as you are, because they wish that that was them. Because they fail to kind of sort of conduct themselves in a manner that says that I'm the one that got put on because I conduct myself well. But if you don't give off that energy when done in that manner and people notice that that was done, whether sincerely or not, they're going to act accordingly. They're going to make sure that you pay accordingly. They're going to make sure that your consequence is according to the crime that was done. And that ultimately is something that you can't argue with. That's not fair. It's not okay. It's not cool. It's not something that somebody looks up to. It's not something that somebody wishes to emulate. It's not something that makes people feel as though you put them on the game, that you put them on to what is the real was that's happening around you. And people need that. People want that. They want to understand. They want to know your thoughts. They want to know what's the honest thought as to why you conducted yourself that way. And they're curious. And when they become so curious to the point where they have to know the answer, what you going to do? You're going to lie, steal, or cheat, or you're going to be honest and frank and conduct yourself in a certain manner. They say, yeah, this was it. And when you do those things, they going to notice and they going to thank you for putting them on. Walk out with a bag in hand every time because that's what they deserve. And so did you. Because in the long run, when you take the time out to get to know them, let them get to know you. It's such a beautiful thing that they don't have a choice but to cooperate. And do you ever think about why cooperating with nature instead of trying to affront it is so rewarding? If you scaling your business because you cooperating with nature, man, I want to be you. I feel like you are Leo or Rihanna or somebody. You know, like, I want to get like that. Put me on. You know what I mean? If I can find somebody that put me on, then I can pay it forward to somebody else. I mean, what better life is there than that? You know, I get to the point where I used to be like, all I want was a house, a husband, a pretty kid, nice clothes, a nice home to be in that I take care of well, some cool people, you know what I mean? And I feel like, what more could you ask? And whenever I felt that way, I always felt that if I did, I felt as though I was crossing the line into being greedy. You know what I mean? And I didn't like that about myself. I didn't, because I always felt like if humanity was always known to honor those people who are benevolent and good to people more so than they did anybody else, I wanted to be on their side. Like I wanted to be looked at as a person that was a good person. And that reminds me of the guy who had like a twin brother or something. They were named similarly, but somewhere the cemetery got the names mixed up and they ended up putting his brother's name not on there, but the brother instead. And so he got remembered in a derogatory light. And he was like, oh, wow, I got to fix this immediately while I'm alive because when I'm dead, they say something bad, I'm going to feel stupid. And so he went about his business and not really trying to make the cemetery print right. And I always thought that was admirable, and benevolent. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't really see that anything was wrong with that. And you have to do the same. You have to do the same. So I'm telling you now, I hope your inner glow has been unleashed. Okay, I hope you have radiated confidence about this entire series that we have going on now as we go into these colder months. You know what I mean? Make sure you get your cute little mugs and you get your little outfits and you take care of yourselves out here. Like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all again soon on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I love you.